A reading from 1 Corinthians. St. Paul writes, "For I received from the Lord what I also handed on to you, that the Lord Jesus, on the night when he was betrayed, took a loaf of bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, 'This is my body that is for you. Do this in remembrance of me.' In the same way, he took the cup also after supper, saying, 'This cup is the new covenant in my blood. Do this as often as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes.'" The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The psalm this evening is portions of Psalm 116. We will sing it together.
Whoa, what are you doing? Suzanne, what are you doing?
I'm getting ready to wash some feet.
You can't wash feet because that's a job for somebody who just got into the church or something, and you're the council president, so you shouldn't be doing a job like that.
I might be the council president, but Jesus was Jesus.
I can't argue with that. I get your point. Jesus was Jesus. And yet, on this night, he washed the disciples' feet. And so as we were thinking about the most effective way to communicate that act of servanthood, we thought we would choose the person in the congregation who had the most authority, the most power, if you will, the council president, who's really our leader. Jesus was Jesus. But Jesus at this moment takes the job of the lowliest house slave. He decides that it is not at all beneath him to serve his disciples in this way. This was the job that nobody wanted. Now, in our culture, in our society, even in our church, right, we can make an assumption that those who come forward tonight to have their feet washed by our council president, by Suzanne, have probably made sure that they were clean before they got here tonight. Not so in the time of Jesus. People would take long journeys. Their feet would be dusty. They didn't have the way to wash that we do. So it was a matter of both cleanliness and hospitality that when somebody came into your house, you would provide for their feet to be washed. And yet on this night, when he shares the last meal with his disciples, Jesus washes their feet. He becomes lowly servant, host, and meal. The creator of the universe, the one through whom all things were made, stoops to serve his disciples. Hear then the story of that night. Now before the festival of the Passover, Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart from this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The devil had already put it into the heart of Judas, son of Simon Iscariot, to betray him. During supper, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God, got up from the table, took off his outer robe, and tied a towel around himself. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wash them with the towel that was tied around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "You do not know now what I am doing, but later you will understand." Peter said to him, "You will never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no share with me." So Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus said to him, "One who has bathed does not need to wash except for the feet, but is entirely clean. And you are clean, though not all of you." For he knew who was to betray him. For this reason he said, "Not all of you are clean." After he had washed their feet, he put on his robe and had returned to the table. He said to them, "Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for that is what I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have set you an example, that you also should do as I have done to you. Very truly I tell you, servants are not greater than their master, nor are messengers greater than the one who sent them. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them." Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man has been glorified, and God has been glorified in him. If God has been glorified in him, God will glorify him in himself, and will glorify him at once. Little children, I am with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and as I said to the Jews, so now I say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.